if you're ready, go ahead and head to your yoga mat. We'll start laying down. And if you have an extra pillow or blanket for under your head or over top of you, that might be nice today. We might use it a little bit later as well. So if you do have that handy, wonderful. Go ahead and lay down in some comfortable way. Maybe some form of shavasana with your arms and legs outstretched. Or maybe good old constructive rest pose with your knees bent. And then feet standing out at the edges of the mat and then knees coming together. Just so you can feel kind of pressure there on the sacrum. And the least amount of effort needed to hold the feet and legs up. Then you can take a couple experiments here. Maybe try constructive rest, maybe try shavasana. Maybe there's a different way your hands or arms want to rest today. You are welcome to keep exploring until it feels good. And when it does, let's right off the bat here, we're going to do 3 variations on clearing breath. It's sometimes referred to as ha breath. So basically, with your exhale, we're just going to kind of sigh and make the sound ha. And try to be like, invite your inner high school theater kid. You can be super dramatic about it. You can be kind of funny or fun with it if you want, or just see what happens. So, right away here, let's do 3 of these ha breaths. So, inhaling through your nose and ha to release. Does not have to sound like me. Go ahead and experiment with that 2 more times. And whenever you have found the end of those 3 rounds, just allowing your body to find a natural pace of breath without you forcing it or tweaking it here for now, just watching the kind of breath that your body is just going for naturally. I invite you to consider softening the facial features and your jaw, letting your shoulders be kind of heavy and grounded. Trying not to hold them up in any way, just really resting on the floor here. And as you watch your breath, if it's shallow or kind of up in the chest, you might try to kind of go a little lower, a little slower, breathing down. For belly breathing, it's diaphragmatic breathing here, but the belly's rising with your inhales. And slowly softening as you deflate or exhale. Just keeping present with your breath, noticing anything there is to notice in your experience here. And I'd like to share a little reading by Morgan Harper Nichols. Sometimes we get so caught up in the big picture that we forget all of the little details that make a story. We forget that some of those seemingly insignificant things in our lives, the special coffee mug, the half-finished journal, the trusty sweatshirt, all of these things are invitations for us to connect with the present moment. To remember that while we are in this particular room, in this corner of the world, we are still free to come alive here. We are still free to look for beauty, wisdom, and opportunities to practice gratitude right here where we are. There are infinite lessons that we can learn by looking at a tree that has stood in that exact same place for all its life. Let us not forget what we can learn by being right here, right now. With every breath, coming right here, right now. Leaving whatever happened earlier today in the past, whatever might happen later, leave that for future you. You'll be there. You'll handle it well. So for now, just really come into the moment. If you feel that your day has been really in your head a lot, you could choose to open your eyes and find something to look at outside of your body. If you've had an especially external day, lots of things around you, maybe ignoring signs of your body, just really externally focused on other people, you might try closing your eyes and then turning your closed eye gaze up to the screen of the mind, the third eye center, just between and above the eyebrows. And resting here just a bit longer. Softening and letting go a little bit more. And before we start to move, if you would like to invite in a dedication or intention, go ahead and bring something or someone to mind. And even if you haven't decided on an intention or you don't want to have one today, that's fine. Let's take a clearing breath together and just have the collective intention of uplifting each other's intentions or the good intentions of those around you. So let's take a breath in, a big sigh, uplifting all of those intentions. Coming back to a steady pace of breath as you begin. A little bit of wiggling of fingers and toes. Maybe blinking your eyes open and close a couple of times as you get used to your space again if your eyes were closed. Circling ankles and wrists a couple of times. Letting your head kind of rock from one side to the other. Eventually making your way into a long body stretch with your arms and legs reaching in opposite directions. Stretching and reaching. Very good. Okay, let's start to roll on to either side. Coming to the fetal position just for a moment. And then using the help of your hands and arms to come on up to a seat. And if you have your blanket or prop, you might sit up on that or up on your blocks, just getting a little extra height underneath your hips can make this a lot more comfortable. You can cross your legs or have them straight or kind of stagger your legs so they're not exactly crossed, but still out in front of you. You could grab onto your knees if you like, or your shins, or whatever feels good. Let's just start to take some heart circles. So whichever direction you want to start, go ahead. Just try to reach your heart center in all directions. So you're just kind of swooping around and up and back and around. Don't worry too much if you are doing it right. We're just getting Some circling motion here. Kind of warming up through the hips, through the back a little bit here too. And eventually we'll switch directions. Just doing some spiraling here. And then try to get a little slower, a little smaller. Just until you get back to the center. And once you're there, let's bring the right hand to the right side of the floor here and start to lift up that left arm up and overhead. Take a breath in when you get to the top, reaching high. And with your exhale, let's start to side bend, reaching that left arm up and over to the right. Try not to collapse forward with it. If anything, we want to kind of open that armpit up toward the sky if that feels comfortable for you. And let's come back up. We're going to stay on this side, so just reach high, breathing in. And exhale, slowly side bending back to the right. Go ahead and follow your breath a couple more times, inhaling to rise up. And exhaling to bend. Just about one more. And then come on up, we'll switch sides, bringing that left hand right down to the floor or block. Reach the right hand high. Take a breath in as you lengthen upwards. And then exhale, side bend to the left, reaching that right hand up and over, checking for that kind of alignment of the spine here. Sometimes it's easy to kind of collapse forward, so just try to open that armpit up a little bit toward the sky, and then follow your breath. Inhale, rise up, reach up, lengthen. And exhale, gentle side bend to the left. Go ahead and do that a couple more times. Try not to rush it. We're always in a rush, I feel. So let's just inhale the whole way up and exhale the whole way to the side. All right, when you're done, go ahead and come back up and lower the right hand down to the floor. Let's take it to our hands and knees next. So here is where that blanket could come in handy underneath your knees. Even if you feel that you don't really need it, it feels like it's kind of a treat, I think, to have extra comfort, extra squishiness somewhere around where your knees are going to be. So go ahead and shift that around until it's right for you. Hands and knees here in our tabletop position. You could always try bringing your hands up to blocks if you want to lessen the amount of pressure there on the wrists or hands. So go ahead and figure out if you want to do that. Cat and cow here. With our inhale, let's start to lower the belly, lift the tailbone, lift the gaze nice and slow. And exhale, round up through the spine, tucking your chin, tucking your tailbone, pulling your navel up and in. Inhale, cow pose, belly lowers, gaze lifts. Exhale, cat, rounding up. Go ahead and continue at your own pace. All right, let's come back to extended child's pose with our knees out wide and big toes touching behind you. So many options to make this comfortable for you. You kind of classically would lower your seat toward your heels, maybe coming down to your forearms. But if that range of motion doesn't feel great through your lower half of your body, you can keep your seat kind of lifted and come down to your forearms and then kind of reach your tailbone back. So go ahead and try it out. Find your extended child's pose of the day. It can look different than normal if you like. Find that belly breathing again, making sure your knees are wide enough that you have enough space for your belly to expand with your inhales. And everything softens with your exhales. more breath here. You can always stay a little longer if it feels too sweet to leave yet. At some point, come on up to tabletop. Then we're gonna come down to the belly for a little bit of baby cobra. Depending on your blanket or kneeling situation, you might kind of bring it up a little higher and have it underneath your torso, kind of below your rib cage, if you want to. Some people, that just doesn't feel great, so maybe you move it out of the way if that extra propping underneath you doesn't feel good. I think it's a little bit nice today. So we're going to press the tops of the feet down so much that your knees start to pop up. You can feel your glutes, you can feel your thighs kind of turning on here, working. We're going to slide the palms down so they're a little closer to the low rib cage if that feels like a comfortable range on your wrists. With your inhale, let's lift the head and chest, finding our baby cobra today. Very active baby cobra. And then with your exhale, slowly lower back down. Let's do that 3 more times. Go at your own pace. Use your inhale to slowly rise up. That entire inhale, we're moving very slowly to our nice sweet spot range. And then slowly exhaling, using that entire exhale to come back down. Slower can be kind of harder. So just keep going. On your last inhale, let's stay lifted for an exhale. One more inhale. And then exhale, lower down. Let's find crocodile pose for a little release here. So stacking your fists or your hands below your forehead, and then rest your head there on the hands. Sometimes a block can feel nice under the forehead. You would do you. Let your heels splay out to the sides. Maybe kind of move the pelvis a little bit side to side with the intention of loosening up your low back. Maybe finding stillness here. Taking a quick scan of the body, noticing if you're holding any excess tension anywhere and seeing if you can kind of soften it up slightly. Using an inhale, let's come back up to tabletop. Breathe like normal here. We're going to bring that kneeling cushion blanket down to where your knees will be. It's usually kind of like midway or slightly behind that. You can always change it up as we go. We're going to find our first downward facing dog next. So if you like to use blocks, we're going to bring those up to the top of the mat. Good way to check if your kneeling blanket is in the right place. If your hands are on your blocks and your knees are on your blanket, you're probably going to be good for the rest of this. Okay, let's curl those toes under, start to pick up your knees, reaching upward through that tailbone, coming up to the tippy toes, just getting that tailbone as high as you can. And find your breath here as you slowly start to sink your heels in the direction of the floor. They never have to touch the floor. Just see where you're at. Press into your hands, reaching through your shoulders. Nice, strong arms. Nice, strong breath. Take a peek up at your hands. Make sure all of your knuckles are pressing down into the ground, especially pressing down in between the thumb and pointer finger. And then take your gaze back, maybe to your knees, maybe to your feet. Maybe pedaling your legs out, bending and straightening opposite knees. We're just here for 2 more breaths. And then bend your knees a lot as you look up toward your hands, and then step or walk your feet up to ragdoll pose. At the top, your feet could be kind of close, or you could widen them way up so you have lots of room for your body, less pressure on the low stomach area if the legs are wider. Your call. Make sure to have a nice little bend of your knees, letting that upper body be kind of loose here. Maybe swaying a little bit. Maybe just being still. Just make sure you're breathing. And bend even deeper into the knees, and then slowly, with the help of your hands, coming up to stand. So those hands are walking up the legs. Keeping your chin kind of tucked till you eventually get up to the top. There's no rush to get there. When you do arrive at the top, take any adjustments of your clothing or anything else that needs it, and just get a little shake and bounce going throughout your body, maybe lifting and lowering your heels a couple of times, getting that kind of deep bounce in your muscles, all the parts of your body. Maybe just kind of shake your arms and legs. There's no rules for this part. We're just getting some motion into the body, helping our circulation get going a little bit. All right, loosening up just a little more. All right, and then we're coming back up to the top of our mats. Take a look at your feet, find a comfortable standing position here, and then spin your palms to face the front of your space. Mountain pose, Tadasana. If it feels okay, maybe closing your eyes here so you notice your alignment. Do your feet feel kind of active? Can they grip into the floor a little bit without being tense? Just kind of activate it a bit more. Scanning your awareness up to your knees, checking to make sure there's just a little micro bend. You don't want to lock into the joints. Sliding on up. Try to just imagine the tilt of your pelvis. If it feels like you need any adjustments, you can kind of try tucking the tailbone under a little more or back a little bit more until it feels kind of centered. And then working your way up the spine. See if you can create a sense of lengthening upwards through the crown of your head, like you're growing half an inch. And with an inhale, let's reach the arms around and up, joining hands overhead. And exhale, lower your hands back down by your sides. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, reaching up. This time we will swan dive and forward fold. So the arms going wide. We're hinging at the hips first, so no rounding in the back quite yet. And then once you get to the bottom, lower your hands, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, sliding your hands up to the thighs, finding a nice straight spine. And exhale, bring your hands down to your blocks or the floor. We're going to step just the right foot back and then lower your right knee down to your blanket. This would be time to notice if it's in the right spot or not. Let's shift the hips forward and down a little bit until you feel a nice little stretch happening through that right hip flexor or the front of that right leg. Really like to use blocks even on the highest setting here, just so I can really find extension through the spine, kind of that neutral spine instead of that rounding forward. Just kind of pulling the heart forward, finding your sweet spot here. You can always kind of pulse a little bit coming in and out of that sweet spot area, just so there's some motion going, some circulation through that joint. If you want to add on a little thigh stretch, well, it's kind of a big thigh stretch, so manage expectations here. You could reach the left hand back, bend your right knee, and see if you can grab hold of that foot. It really requires a lot of flexibility there, so if that's not working for you, you could just bend your knee and reach in that direction for a more active approach. or just stay in your low lunge. One more breath wherever you're at. Coming back to low lunge if that right foot was lifted. Let's shift back to half splits, pulling the hands back, straightening that left leg just enough until you feel a stretch on the back of your left leg, left toes reaching high. Coming back up to the highest setting on my blocks here. Find that nice posture through your back. And again, you could kind of bend the knee a little bit more and then straighten it a little bit, seeing where it feels right. You could try pointing the toes and then flexing a couple times, just seeing what that does for you. Just always proceeding with caution and tenderness. Okay. If you want to go between the two a couple times, you sure can. We could inhale to come forward to that low lunge, foot planting, chest rising, and maybe exhaling to that half splits position. All right, let's plant that left foot on the ground. We're gonna bring the right hand block to the high or the lowest setting, so your hand has lots of space to plant on top of. We're going to place the left hand on the left knee. Start to press your hand into that left knee as you twist toward the left. And option to stay right here if this feels good. You could reach that left hand high if you like, maybe circling out the left wrist. If you want more of a warming and strengthening effect, you could curl your right toes under and pick up your right knee. Twisting here for one more breath in. And big breath out. We're going to go ahead and step that left knee back so you're in kind of a tabletop position. Curl your toes under and find your plank today. So that could be high plank with knees lifted or knees lowered. Let's just have one more breath in your plank. Then with your exhale, just lower your knees. We're not going to lower our chest this time. We're going to kind of shift the hips forward a bit. Make sure that your wrists are kind of in front of your shoulders a bit. And we're leaning forward so there's less bend in the hip joints. See if you can bend both knees here. Just pointing the toes, reaching them up. And if you like, taking just a gentle back bend, so kind of starting to look up. Just imagine those toes are getting close to your head without pressing too far. And take a breath in. With your exhale, go right back to child's pose. Hands could stay up on blocks if you like, or find another version. Breathing here for 2 more breaths. One more breath. And then rise on up, tabletop. Exhale to downward dog. 3 breaths. When you arrive, inhale, active fingers, active hands. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Last breath in. Last breath out. Inhale, option to lift your right toes up behind you, 3-legged down dog, or just exhale, bend that right knee and step the right foot forward. Do the best it can. You can inch it forward when you get there. And then step your left foot to the top, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. We're going to reverse swan dive here. So bend your knees a little extra. Reach your hands straight out to the sides first. And kind of hinge upward through the hips. Flipping those palms and then eventually joining your hands overhead. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. Take a moment to find balance in your experience, in the flow of your breath. Cultivating this sense of homecoming, that little place of peacefulness that's always underneath the noise of the world. Keep seeking to find this heart-centered space. Let's take a big clearing breath when you're ready, in through your nose. And a sigh as you release. Good. Let's let those hands come down by the sides. With an inhale, reaching them up and overhead. With your exhale, just let your hands come back down by your sides, getting a little flow there. And then once more, inhale, reaching high. This time we'll exhale and swan dive to our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands come down to the floor or blocks. We're stepping just the left foot back this time, and then lower your left knee down. If your right knee was struggling on that first one, you might double up your blanket if you have one, or make sure that you have enough cushion underneath that left knee so that you don't feel any sensitivity or soreness there. And then start to shift forward to your low lunge. So hips reaching forward, just enough until you start feeling that nice stretch through the left thigh, the left hip flexor. I'm kind of puffing the chest up a little bit and gazing just straight ahead of you. See what's here for you. Take a couple little experiments, maybe backing out of the pose a little bit, maybe coming back in. If you want to add on that big thigh stretch here, that quad stretch, we can bring the left hand down onto the block on that flat setting. You could lift it up with the second block on top there, bending that left knee, reaching your right hand back, maybe grabbing hold of your feet. If that is out of the question, just see if you can reach in that direction. You can always come right back down anytime. Okay. One more breath wherever you want to be. And then with your exhale, bringing both hands to the floor, releasing that foot if you had it grasped, and then pulling those hips back. Let's find our half splits, peeling the right toes up off of the floor, pulling that right hip crease back, straightening your right leg just enough until you're starting to feel that nice stretch through the back of your right leg. I'm coming on up to the highest setting on my blocks again so I can really extend the spine, puffing the chest up a little bit. You could try pointing your toes, flexing. You can get a little movement with it a little bit if you want. And if you want to find our little flow here with the inhales, bringing you forward, planting your right foot and gaze lifting. And exhales back to half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. Go ahead and do that a couple times if you wish. Okay. Next, we're finding our twist. So plant your right foot down. Bring that left hand down to your block or the floor, or even your two stacked blocks on top of each other. And then bring your right hand to your right knee. Start twisting the chest toward the right side. You can kind of push into your right knee just a little bit. Try not to force it too much. Option to stay right here, or lift that right hand high, maybe circling out your right wrist. Ooh, that feels really good. You could, if you want more warming and strengthening, you could tuck your left toes under and pick up your left knee. One more breath in, and then breath out. Bring those blocks back. Toe heel your right foot way out wide, and then step your right knee back to meet your left. We're gonna try that little, I wanna call it like seal pose. So your hands are up on your blocks. Make sure they're far enough forward on your mat so you can kind of lower your hips a bit. This is kind of our plank today. And from here, you can bend both of your knees, kind of reaching, pointing those toes, reaching them up. This could be enough. We're strengthening the hamstrings here. You want to turn it into a little back bend, slowly lifting your gaze. Try to keep your core active here. Just imagining that the toes are pointing toward your head. One more breath in. And then exhale straight back to child's pose. 3 breaths in child's pose. One more breath or so. Choosing either to stay here or join me in our last downward facing dog. Rising up, hands on blocks if you want, and then exhaling to downward dog. Feel free to stay in your child's pose if you want. 3 breaths where you want to be. Just about one more breath. Bend your knees a lot. Look up to your hands, but this time with your exhale, let's walk the hands to the back of the mat, coming to a little squat. So toe heeling your feet out a little wider, bending your knees just as much as they want to bend. You can always bring your hands to your knees and just kind of bend them a little bit and straighten a couple times, or come on down to your nice yogi squat with your hands pressing together at the center and elbows pressing into your knees. See if, instead of a rounded position through the back, see if we can kind of pull the chest forward, sitting up. 2 more breaths if it feels okay. 1 more breath. With your exhale, start to straighten your legs, finding a little forward fold. Toe heel your feet in a little closer, maybe about 2 fists or hip distance apart. Finding an inhale, rise up to halfway lift. Exhale, bending your knees a bit as you fold forward one last time. Reverse swan dive here, bend your knees a little bit more. With your inhale, reach those arms out wide and then hinge upward through your hips and join palms overhead. Exhale, right back down to heart center. Take your time. Find that space, that headspace. Feeling your heart beating, as present as you can be in your body now. If you feel that you're a little too much in your head or in your body, you could open your eyes and focus outward. Let's take a clearing breath together. Inhale through your nose. Sigh out of your mouth. Go ahead and blink your eyes open. Your hands can come down. You can give anything a little shake if it needs a shake. We're going to move our props off to the side for this next little balancing portion, just so you have a nice clear space, nothing gonna trip you up here. If you have a wall handy, this balancing that we're about to do could be nice with your back up against a wall for more support, or if you get off balance you can kind of lean back into the wall or chairs or a counter or a couch. So let's shift the weight over to the left foot first. We're going to play with our active and passive range of motion through that right knee. So we're going to find one-legged mountain pose with that right knee lifting. You can keep your toes down here until you feel like you're good on the balancing. And see about lifting that right knee up as high as you can, safely. Just see, that's your active range of motion, however high you can just do it with the muscles. Then go ahead and wrap your hands around that right knee, trying to remain balanced here. And pulling that knee up just a little bit more. If it's going higher than your active range of motion, this is your passive range of motion. Option to stay right here if this feels challenging enough, which it certainly is. If you want, we're going to release that right hand and reach the right hand up and back. And very slowly turn your gaze up toward the right hand and then back to the center. And remember all those times that you're wiggling and wobbling and falling out. That is really good for your balancing muscles. If you're up for it, we're switching hands now. So we're releasing that left hand and reaching the left hand out toward the side. And then slowly turning your gaze to look at that hand. And then back. Whew. Quite a challenge. And then notice where your knee is at now. See if you can keep that knee lifted that high. Ooh. Finding your active range of motion again as you release your hands and see if it can stay up there. Ooh. Then lower it down. Oofta. All right, shake it out a little bit, really strengthening the lower body in this little sequence here. Highly recommend having a wall behind you for support. So now you kind of know where we're headed with this next foot. So shifting all your weight to your right foot this time. Take your time as you find one-legged mountain pose with that left knee lifting. And then see about your active range of motion here. How high can you lift that left knee just with your strength? And go ahead and grab hold of that left knee. Just pulling it up a little bit more if there's any room to go, finding that passive range of motion. And then either staying right here or starting to release that left hand, reaching it up and out. And doing your best to look up toward that hand. And then back to the center. All those wobbles are great. Switch your hand. We're going to reach that right hand out to the side. Looking up toward that hand and then back. And then we're gonna lift that knee up, finding that passive range, and then see if you can hold it there as you release your hands, even for just a second. Whew. And then lower down when you're ready. Shake it out. Whew. That's a really good way to increase your flexibility there and your strength with your range of motion. So maybe come back to this at some point. Let's head down to the floor here. Just coming on down however you like. We're gonna go right down to the back, pulling your knees in toward your chest whenever you arrive. Find a little bit of free motion here, kind of a sacrum massage, rolling, rocking and rolling a little bit side to side, or circling your knees a little bit. I can tell we've really worked the hips today. My hips are a little more shaky than normal. I wonder if you feel that too. And if there are any last poses, movements, or stretches that you're wanting, go ahead and move into those now. We've done a lot of twisting, done a lot of strengthening today. And whenever you're done with your little closing movements, if you have any you want to add on, find a nice, comfortable, extra comfy final resting pose. Maybe grabbing that blanket or pillow for underneath your head or under your knees. We're up and over top of you. You feel that you've churned up a lot of energy. You might take a couple more of those clearing breaths or those ha breaths. Just letting it out. And with each breath, using less and less effort. Every breath bringing you just a little deeper into rest. And we'll have a little sound bath here that will start to soon. And if you're feeling ready to start moving again, Invite some small movements back into your body, maybe wiggling fingers and toes, maybe opening and closing your jaw, swallowing or yawning. And continuing to reawaken in intuitive ways. Maybe reaching for a long body stretch. Eventually choosing a side and rolling onto that side, finding the fetal position with your knees slightly tucked in. Maybe your bottom arm can be a pillow. Take one more nice, slow breath, fully present. And then when you're ready, using the help of your hands, go ahead and press your way up to a seat. If it feels okay, maybe closing your eyes as you join your hands in front of the heart center once more. Feel free to join me in our closing chant, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. If you're with me, let's take a breath in to prepare. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om, peace, peace, peace. Peace in our heart, peace in our words, peace in our actions. Hands and thumbs can come up to that third eye center. And with a little bow forward in gratitude, we will close our class. Peace.